Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again. Every day I have something to say because something happens overnight that needs to have something said that's going to be different than those things that you hear. Even though you probably won't hear this, at least it would have been said. Every morning I get up, I get an expression of somebody who has exhibited some hate, some hatred. Whether it's a kid in school complaining about some other kid in school who's doing something that they don't like and they get put down, cops called on them, or whether it's the president of the United States trying to make himself look good by trying to demean another president who happens to be black, trying to indicate how much better the white man, but not just the white man, Donald Trump is than everybody else on earth. And you've heard me say some things about Donald Trump. I call him evil. I call him the devil. And I do this because of the things that he says, how he stands up before me and lie and expect me to believe it. How I see him put down other people, and how I see other people bow to him just because of protection for employment. That is evil. I don't hate Donald Trump, but I hate the evil that Donald Trump exhibits. And yet at the same time, I'm not as mad and disgusted with Donald Trump as I am of Donald Trump's father. Donald Trump's father raised this monster, as Donald Trump is trying to raise that little son of his. And I think about those children, those white children who are so afraid of blacks that put blacks down or believe that blacks are so evil. This comes from their parents. Exactly, from their parents. Then I'm just pissed off at a society that accepts this. I'm pissed off at a society where preachers never put these things down. They never identify these evils for what they are. And if they do, they definitely have never given any suggestions as to what things should be like. And so the society is just screwed. That's the word. I know some of my friends hate me to use that word, but you know what that word means. The society is just screwed. But ladies and gentlemen, this does not just go to say that all white people are evil because of the society. You see, this society has been the baby of other societies that says that certain people are superior to others, that certain people deserve more than others. And this is just a continuation of that. There was a time when a man, Dr. Martin Luther King, tried to explain that this is not true, and that we could be better than this. And in the process, he was killed for trying to say that, for trying to get us to believe that. And rather than go the way that he was teaching us to go, the way he gave his life for us to go, they put up a statue, some big clawed statue talking about this great man. That statue isn't great. That statue does not represent the greatness of a man that man would accept. It doesn't make any sense. If Dr. King was a great man, then why aren't we practicing the principles of life that he aspired to? If Jesus was such a wonderful God or such a wonderful superior man, why aren't we practicing those principles that Jesus aspired? Even if, for those of you who don't believe Jesus lived, they still attributed great principles of life to Jesus. And so why aren't we doing that? Even a man that was hated in America, Malcolm X, changed from what he had been taught to something that he was finding out in life himself. It appears as though we should be doing stuff like that. I think it is really amazing or ridiculous, however you want to look at it, that you don't hear any white men talking about peace and prosperity and happiness and joy in life for everybody, whites and blacks, men and women, Americans and others. You don't hear that anywhere, especially coming from those arenas that's called the temples where God is espoused. I think it's absolutely pathetic. And here I am trying to tell you, as disgusted as I am about this particular society, I realize that black people came into this world by God. Not only that, I realize that white people came into this world by God. Not only that, I realize that whites and blacks need food and clothing and shelter. I realize that. I also realize that black people and whites and all others need education if they want to progress. Not only that, if they want to live in a society where sickness and diseases reigns rampant, I know that they need health care, every last one of them. And in order to have all these needs met for all of the billions of people on earth, all of these people who are able to work need a career. But not just any career, a career of their own choosing, whereby they get happiness out of what they do. And what do? They create everything we say we need, want, or desire. And if they come together and do that, then every last one of them are entitled to it. No money. All of that stuff represents what people say, we are better than they are. We deserve more than they do. Why do you think this morning you can hear about the technological advances as far as Amazon and Google and others are doing in trying to make a house respond to your thoughts almost? But what do? They put the price astronomical, which means poor people will never get one. Middle class people will have to go deep in debt to get it. When all of the knowledge about the technology came straight from God, so that if you make advancement in houses, it could be available to every human being on earth that wants it. They don't have to have it if they don't want it, but if they want it, that's what it's for, free. In other words, what I'm trying to tell you, the only requirement that heaven gives us is that we exercise our gifts. That's what our gifts are for, to create these things. That's the requirement, the number one. And the second requirement is that we respect one another as we respect ourselves. That's bottom line. But when you look at this video, if you happen to be watching it, look and see how many views it gets. I think what I've just shared with you, the whole world should hear. Why do I say that? Because nobody else is saying it as far as I know. The only white man I think that I can respond to that comes close to being a genuine human being presently is Jimmy Carter. And white people hate Jimmy Carter because he didn't act like John Wayne. But Jimmy Carter is still stepping. Jimmy Carter is still helping people. Jimmy Carter is still giving of himself to make this world a better world based upon his being white. And he's had a lot of shortcomings being white. Now, black people like myself, we can talk about this thing. God has blessed us. We've suffered. We know the pain of suffering. And so we can stand up in all of those areas where suffering reigns. And we can identify it. And we can talk about the challenges of it. Not only that, based upon what our dreams and aspirations are, we can offer solutions to it. But again, how many views will this video get? I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, the world that we live in right now is the world that we deserve. And if we don't change and start representing the ideas of God, we're going to really be messed up. You're talking about boats flying out of the earth big as refrigerators. You heard about that once about Sodom and Gomorrah. You heard about that in the Bible. Wouldn't it be something amazing if that stuff started, the earth just started cracking up and all of that stuff, hot lava and stuff started spreading all over the earth? What would your 400,000, your price for a common house mean? What would your owning an island mean? What would your being superior to other races mean? It would not mean a hill of beans. And if you want to live in peace and in prosperity and happiness and away from lying and cheating and stealing and terrorism and war, you better try God. Not me. Don't try me, because I might change tomorrow. But the principles of life will live forever and ever. So until then, I want to thank you so very much for giving me this your time. Once again, this is Eddie Marcus, spokesman and advocate for all that I've shared with you by the Spirit and love of God. And I'm not just saying this to you. I want to be the senator from the state of Minnesota, a write-in senator from the state of Minnesota, who can carry this message forward to the Congress in Washington, D.C., who can carry this message forward to the people all over this land, who can carry this message forward to the people all over the world, letting them know that the power of choice is always in their hands. And whether we create heaven on earth is in their hands, or whether we create hell is in their hands. Goodbye.